For the next step in your emulation painting, we need to figure out what colors, but also decide if we need to grid a little bit more. I don't know if you can see the angle here. But my grid is put on with 16 squares. Just like I folded this one as I showed you in the last video. But I am doing an emulation of Edward Hopper's painting that was painted in 1929. It is called The Lighthouse at Two Lights, and I will show you a full image of it in just a minute. And then I cropped mine so that I can make it a little more original, and folded it in 16 squares like I demoed before. But the more grid lines you have, the easier it will be. Obviously in this area I don't need very many grid lines because it's mainly just blue. But in this area I have a lot more detail, or if in your painting you have a face, you may want to put more grid lines in that particular area. So how would I do that? I folded this in 16 squares. I want to put more grids and these parts where the lighthouse is. So I will fold it a little bit more. Folding it back on itself so my crease shows. So now I have more grid lines within this part of the image. So if you can see, how will I transfer these grid lines to this board? Similar to what I did before. I can find the midpoint of one of those squares by making a diagonal rather than one of the rectangles. And that, remember, finds the center point of this one. And then, let me bring it up a little closer so you can see. Then, I need something with a 90-degree angle. I'm actually using a triangle here. But you can use those black pieces of railboard that we made. Lining up the edge to make sure the line I'm going to put through that center will be 90 degrees. And that then will intersect with this diagonal I had made, and I can go through and make my extra grid lines. Looks like I need to put another diagonal in this one. So now I have these 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 in this half of the page. And to keep myself from getting confused, I can even fold this in half. And when I start gridding, I now have 16 rectangles in here, which correspond with my 16 rectangles here that are smaller. And as I start to grid, I can see that a little bit better. So let's start to grid a little bit. Right here is this rectangle. I want to start drawing the top of the lighthouse and looking in this rectangle, see exactly where this top part of the lighthouse will start. I can see that it's about halfway between this line and this line. So I'll make myself a little halfway mark and start to grid the top of the lighthouse, being sure to think about the space, just like we did when we were doing the duplication exercises at the very beginning of the year. And if I even need to create another grid line in this rectangle, I can. Or, see that diagonal? I can put that diagonal in here to help me. Let's do that. That'll give me another reference line. Draw it right on there. So I have this line that will help me see, really look at the spaces for putting in my grid into this rectangle. So I'm looking at the space here, and we'll start to draw in what I see.